It's Friday, February 27th. In the headlines, Jamaica set to deepen its ties with Guyana as the two countries' leaders meet in St. Kitts and Nevis. In business news, we take a look at movements in the financial markets. Regionally, in Trinidad and Tobago, an expert warns Caribbean's zone of peace at risk. And in sports, Gibson McCook relays set for February 28th at the National Stadium. This is the weekend news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness met with Guyana's President Irfaan Ali this week as both countries continue discussions aimed at deepening cooperation and expanding opportunities for mutual growth and development. Jamaica and Guyana share a long-standing historical relationship grounded in Caribbean solidarity, shared democratic values, and a common commitment to regional progress. In a post on social media, Dr. Andrew Holness said, quote, "The engagement reaffirmed our shared vision to build on that legacy by exploring new avenues for collaboration in trade, investment, energy, technology, and infrastructure development." End quote. The Prime Minister also used the occasion to express Jamaica's sincere thanks to the government and people of Guyana for their support following Hurricane Melissa. He says, quote, "As the region navigates a rapidly changing global environment, partnerships such as with Guyana essential to strengthening resilience and unlocking greater prosperity for our respective peoples." End quote. Former United States Ambassador to Jamaica, Luis Marino, has rejected suggestions that Jamaica could face penalties from the U.S. following Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness's recent remarks on Cuba's humanitarian crisis. While addressing the 50th regular meeting of the Conference of the Heads of Government of CARICOM in St. Kitts and Nevis this week, Dr. Holness cautioned that Cuba's worsening humanitarian situation could have regional implications and called for the issue to be approached with clarity and courage. In a post on X, Republican Congressman Carlos Jimenez criticized Dr. Holness and the governing Jamaica Labour Party, accusing them of defending Cuba's leadership and warned that, quote, "Jamaica will face the consequences," end quote. However, former U.S. Ambassador to Jamaica Luis Marino told The Gleaner that such response from the United States was unlikely. The effects of Hurricane Melissa are now showing up in the government's 2026-2027 budget, with tighter allocations for the Ministry of National Security and Peace. Despite the reduced funding, the ministry says it is prioritizing critical investments, including police infrastructure, crime-fighting operations, and correctional services to strengthen public safety across the country. Here's a more detailed look.
The devastating impact of Hurricane Melissa on the economy is reflective in budgetary allocations for ministries in the estimates of expenditure for 2026-2027. This was evident for the Ministry of National Security and Peace, with a reduced allocation compared to the 2025-2026 fiscal year, but deliberate spending in areas that matter. The combined projected budget for the upcoming financial year is $126.58 billion, $123 billion for recurrent expenses, and $2.67 billion for capital projects.
We continue to invest in strengthening the physical infrastructure of the Jamaica Constabulary Force to provide modern, fit-for-purpose facilities for both police officers and the public they serve.
With $2.6 billion in the capital budget, construction will continue on the Westmoreland and St. Catherine North Police Divisions and to mobilize plans for a specialized operations facility. So, what's the projection and status of these projects? The St. Catherine North Police Divisional Headquarters is now 31% complete and fiscal target is projected at 75%. Work is estimated to be completed in the 2027-2028 financial year.
This building is a sign of our commitment to sustainable peace and good order in our society.
As for the Westmoreland Police Divisional Headquarters, the new allocation is expected to put construction at 85%, up from 52%. The fit-for-purpose building for the JCF Western Base Specialized Operations is expected to get off the ground with $900 million. This will go towards procuring and mobilizing the services of a works contractor.
Every facility we now established is a product of careful, deliberate design, shaped by research, driven by the needs of the communities we serve.
Reinforcing a strong grip on illicit drugs, the ministry will be spending $139.4 million to strengthen operational procedures at the Caribbean Regional Drug Training Center, RedTrack. This is an increase of $11.8 million. The Witness Protection Program also received a boost of $114.5 million more to strengthen day-to-day operations. The unit is central to maintaining public confidence in the criminal justice system. It is also a vital support in the investigation and prosecution of major crimes. Looking at the breakdown for divisional expenses, the police department has been assigned $90 billion. A big chunk of that is assigned to strategic policing, $39.47 billion. This supports general and community policing services through the proactive violence interruption strategy and proximity policing across area divisions. The JCF will manage and maintain its fleet of vehicles with $3.67 billion. Meanwhile, the stores and armory will be managed with $2.26 billion. Modernization initiatives and special projects will continue with $136 million. Of that, $61 million is allocated for fixed assets. This will support the provision of modern facilities for storing and retrieving information for investigations, narcotics, traffic, and criminal records, among others. Upgrades from police divisions will continue with $1.1 billion under the fixed assets acquisition activity for the replacement and purchase of new assets. Moving over to the Department of Correctional Services, it has been assigned $16.37 billion. Of that, $2.68 will support the operations of juvenile facilities.
Jamaica has made steady progress in advancing disability inclusion, with key provisions of the Disabilities Act being implemented over the past 4 years. The Act is being implemented to promote equal access and opportunities for persons with disabilities. Executive Director of the Jamaica Association on Intellectual Disabilities, JADE, Marilyn McCoy, says disability inclusion requires sustained effort and progressive realization of rights under the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Speaking at a recent JIS think tank, Ms. McCoy highlighted increased adoption of inclusive policies across government agencies. She highlighted their partnership with the Education Ministry.
Because of the partnership with the Ministry of Education, Youth, Skills and Information, we were able to expand the access right across the island. And so when we talk about the access now, we are not exactly where we need to be, because there are still children who are, based on their particular location, the space availability in a particular location may be limited. But because of this partnership, we were able to expand the spaces and to provide special education to these children right across the island.
She says Accessibility audits remain a priority, with 4 government buildings assessed since January 2025 to address physical and digital barriers. She says access to therapy continues to be a challenge.
There are parents whose children need therapeutic interventions for them to strengthen their ability to perform, even in school. But access to this kind of therapeutic intervention is very costly and oftentimes not available to them. And so we have to look at agencies within government and private sector who can provide this kind of support to our families of children with disabilities out there.
As Jamaica celebrates its annual Reggae Month in February, the island's soul-stirring music is under renewed scrutiny, with legendary entertainer and reggae purist George Pananock Patrick calling for a return to the authentic roots of reggae, amid concerns that the genre's essence is being lost in modern dancehall. A passionate voice in Jamaica's music scene, George Pananock Patrick is expressing his deep dissatisfaction with the current state of music in Jamaica. Marlon Samuels has more in this report.
Born in Jamaica, reggae music has become a global symbol of resistance, love, and unity. Throughout the month of February, concerts, exhibitions, and educational programs highlight the genre's rich history and impact.
Do you think foreigners appreciate our culture more?
Well, right now, I see the foreigner, they love the culture more than how the born Jamaican they love it right now, at the moment. Because right now, I see our Jamaican roots and culture and dancehall culture away from the new culture, I say, we changed 25 years ago, 26 years now. And the Japanese, them have it. Not even the European. And the Japanese and Asia and East gone. And the Jamaican youth, them all the things in them around now is chopped. They gone American East Coast and West Coast lifestyle. And it don't look good. It don't look good. It bleed, my heart bleed. Me I cry, me a big man, and we build dancehall. And we build and we do it. And if you see the little young people, let's change it, it don't look good.
A cultural performer, George Pananock Robinson, is just one of many who are passionate about keeping Jamaica's musical heritage alive. His story reflects a broader conversation about the future of reggae and dancehall music in a rapidly changing industry and world.
Right now, reggae take over the world. See, the new reggae is a reggae youth get a Grammy. It's reggae youth get the Grammy right now. Young youth. I never knew him, you know. Now, I'm saying, it's a young little youth. Young youth take over it. And that me want. And that's why I say, I call up on the state and all of the young media them to help me and Peter Metro and O'Neill famous there with original dancehall and rubber dub and reggae. And make we say we can try to get out that culture that we little young youth them have in a dancehall. This gun culture, please, please. Because a reggae take over the world. See a reggae month now, we know. And a dancehall month, and a gun culture. It's all about Bob Marley and the reggae. Jamaica. Love Jamaica. Jamaica the nicest. Anyway, when I go, a 4 times I go to America. And I don't want to go back to America. Jamaica, I want to stay and be happy. I don't have money.
Robinson feels that the genre strayed from its roots, emphasizing materialism and superficiality at the expense of meaningful storytelling that once defined Jamaican music.
The state of dancehall right now need the state really to step in real, because music is education and music is art. And from 2020, I saw the dancehall culture. It's a different genre dancehall culture, me see the youth them have. Some call it trap. It's all about gun and the little girl must freak. And it don't look good because the youth them at night time I promote too much gun song.
So I think this is the community.
The gun song right now I destroy the community because you can't live in happiness can't happen in a gun. Oh, you can't have happiness in an explosion? No.
As a purist, he calls for the return to the authentic sound that put Jamaica on the global map. As Jamaica celebrates Reggae Month this February, it's a reminder of the genre's powerful legacy and the ongoing efforts to maintain its authenticity. From the streets of Kingston to the world stage, reggae remains a voice of the people. This is a story brought to you from the people. I am Marlon Samuels reporting for the news on PBCJ.
We now get into the business report with Denise Williams.
Welcome to today's business report. I'm Denise Williams bringing you the developments shaping markets, capital access, and business decision making across Jamaica and the region. Let's get into the stories that matter. The government says it will allocate about 30 billion Jamaican dollars from its 99.7 billion Jamaican dollar capital budget to address infrastructure damage caused by Hurricane Melissa. The Category 5 hurricane caused an estimated US 8.8 billion or more than 1 trillion Jamaican dollars in damage to national infrastructure. This represents roughly 41% of Jamaica's 2024 gross domestic product before adjustments for inflation. However, analysts tell RJR News that they are cautioning that effective recovery and economic growth will depend on the government resolving long-standing procurement challenges. They argue that unless these bottlenecks are addressed, the full capital budget may not be spent. Over the last 5 years, both the central government and self-financing public bodies have consistently failed to fully utilize their capital allocations. Analysts say this underperformance has been a major contributor to sluggish economic growth and weaker revenue collection, underscoring the urgency of improving project execution as the country rebuilds after Hurricane Melissa. The National Housing Trust, NHT, says in the National Budget Report that it will be spending 50.3 billion Jamaican dollars next year in order to commence the construction of 10,675 housing units. The government will continue its drawdown of $11.45 billion per year until the year 2031 and says it will not affect spending on housing by the NHT. The $50.3 billion earmarked for housing expenditure next year will be $6.3 billion more than the $43.9 billion spent this year. Housing expenditure is projected to be 92% of the NHT's total capital expenditure next year. The NHT collected $57 billion in employer and employee contributions during the fiscal year 2023-2024. This meant that the $11.45 billion Jamaican dollars transferred from it during that year amounted to 20% of its total collections. For the trading period of February 26, 2026, the most actively traded securities were Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited with 3,692,626 units, or 10.25% of market sales activities. Derrimon Trading Company Limited Jamaican dollar shares with 3,399,812 units representing 9.44% of market sales activities. Future Energy Source Company Limited ordinary shares with 3,233,303 units representing 8.97% of market sales activity. Investor activity remained concentrated in transportation, energy, and distribution plays, signaling continued interest in dividend-producing and strategic assets. Turning to the foreign exchange market based on Bank of Jamaica data for February 26, 2026, Forex traders recorded significant activity with strong demand across major currencies. For the US dollar, trading margins reflected steady liquidity, with the US selling at $157.07 and buying at $155.77. For the Canadian dollar, moderate gains supported by $1.92 transaction spreads. The Canadian dollar sold for $115.30 and was bought for $113.38. For the British pound, continued volatility offered short-term trading opportunities of $2.58 in profits for the bank. The British pound sold for $210.99 and was bought for $208.41. These movements underscore the importance of cash flow timing and currency awareness for businesses managing import costs, debt servicing, or overseas exposure. For the credit report tip of the day, when you meet with a banker to finance a fleet of vehicles, your credit report isn't just a tool for getting approved, it's also a way to protect your financial position after the loan is granted. Before the meeting, review your credit report and be ready to highlight a strong track record of on-time payments, responsible loan management, and stable credit use. During the discussion, connect this to your business plan. Show how projected income from the fleet covers payments and how your credit history demonstrates the discipline to manage the debt effectively. Once the loan is approved, maintaining your credit score becomes your safety net, ensuring favorable terms on future financing, protecting your borrowing capacity, and giving you leverage to expand the fleet or access additional lines of credit. A strong credit profile doesn't just get you the loan, it safeguards the growth and sustainability of your business. And that's today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing clarity to capital markets and strategy. Until next time, stay informed, stay intentional, and keep building forward. See you soon.
In regional news, the Caribbean's long-held identity as a zone of peace is under pressure amid rising concerns about transnational crime and regional security threats. A regional security expert is urging CARICOM member states to act swiftly and collectively to strengthen their security framework, warning that the region must adapt to evolving challenges or risk losing its reputation for stability. TTT News' Daniel John has that story.
For years, the Caribbean has promoted itself as a zone of peace, a region defined by diplomacy and cooperation. However, regional security expert Dr. Gavin Hira believes the reputation is now being tested.
We have an identity in the region, in the Caribbean, as a zone of peace. And due to what we have been seeing over the years with the narco trafficking, human smuggling, transnational organized crime, and some of the challenges many of the island states are facing, the zone of peace seems to be slipping away.
He said maintaining that identity will require decisive and unified action among CARICOM member states.
We have to get serious with our regional security. We have to get serious with our actions as CARICOM nations. And we have to be more unified and collective in how we make decisions with regard to our security. So I think the issue is we want to hold on to the identity of zone of peace, but presently we are challenged, and that zone of peace seems to be dwindling unless we do something and do something fast. And I think that's the approach that needs to be adopted.
At the opening ceremony of the CARICOM's 50th Heads of Government meeting in St. Kitts and Nevis on Tuesday, Prime Minister Kamla Persaud-Bissessor accused CARICOM of failing to defend its own members after Venezuela threatened both Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago in 2025. Based on this, Dr. Hero said CARICOM must adapt more quickly to changing realities.
CARICOM needs to understand that CARICOM is evolving. CARICOM has not failed, it is evolving. And therefore, the environment has shifted incrementally, and we can't just sit here and continue to do business as usual. We have to adjust, and we have to also shift our narrative, our approaches, our strategies incrementally. And presently, I believe there needs to be a review with regard to regional security in CARICOM.
He was speaking on Trinidad and Tobago today.
Guyana is defending its decision to pay Cuban medical workers directly as some Caribbean nations face pressure over their arrangement with Havana. The country's president says hiring Cuban nurses and doctors under local and international labor laws ensures transparency and compliance. He also made it clear that while humanitarian aid to Cuba is not restricted, oil cannot be classified as aid, describing it instead as a relegated economic commodity.
President, in terms of Cuba, we've seen reports, and Guyana took a very unique position on paying Cubans directly. Do you think that other CARICOM states paying Cuban medical doctors directly? It's a
position?
No, a unique, a unique position. Yeah. Do you think other CARICOM countries, because some are facing pressure from the United States, do you think they should kind of mirror that model?
So the model that Guyana took is one in which, listen, the health sector in the region has challenges. We need workers. And if the Cuba workforce can give us nurses and doctors, and we hire those nurses and doctors in accordance with our local labor laws and international labor regulations, and we ensure that they're paid within the laws of our country and under the same conditions as any other worker is paid, that is, they receive their money directly, then I think you meet all the international criteria.
What is Guyana's position on humanitarian aid for Cuba? Lastly.
So on the issue of humanitarian aid, Guyana's position has always been very clear. And even Secretary Rubio would have alluded to the fact that there is nothing preventing humanitarian aid from going into Cuba. But the challenge that Cuba has is a challenge of power. Where do you store the food if you don't have power and energy to store food and so on?
What if you want to give them humanitarian aid, say in oil? How are they going to get it? Is the U.S.
humanitarian aid is oil?
So that they can get power.
Humanitarian aid cannot be oil. Oil is an economic commodity. Let me make this very clear. Oil is an economic commodity. We cannot be in a situation where we are looking at oil as a humanitarian aid. Oil has very strict regulations how it is traded, and you don't interfere. You cannot interfere with that. And further, you're aware that our oil is traded through a process.
We lead off our sports report with athletics. The Gibson McCook Relays is set to be staged in a shortened format this weekend. According to the schedule of events, this year's meet, which is set for Saturday, February 28 at the National Stadium, will run from 4 to 8:30 p.m. This represents a shift from the traditional morning start. The meet is expected to get underway with the under-10 boys prep schools 4x100 meters, alongside the women's long jump, men's high jump, and men's pole vault open events. The final event at 8:30 will be the high school boys 4x400 meters relay. The fierce battle is expected between defending champions Kingston College, Jamaica College, Excelsior High, and Calabar High, as teams seek psychological advantage ahead of next month's Issa Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Athletics Championships. And that's it for the weekend news on PBC Jamaica. Thank you so much for watching.